Howdy, cadre. Yeah, that was a call on my federal government issued phone, which I'm about to send back to them because my current job finished, and they're going to be switching me to a different job. Anyways, boy, I don't want to get off into that. But yeah, the person said, "I'm calling you about your car insurance. Consumers," I forget what they said. Some vague name. Consumers Advocate or Consumers Insurance or something generic like that. Yeah, I don't want that to... Well, I could just use basalt, I guess. Yeah, and I said... All I said was, I'm surprised to be getting a call on this number. This is a government-issued phone, and they immediately hung up. So that works. If you want a strategy for getting rid of junk calls, try saying that. It might just work. Of course, probably if you said it, you'd be lying, but it might be effective. Who knows? Anyway, a little tip from your Uncle Kevin. I was talking about recycling. And I was in the middle of talking about the burden, the system in Michigan, and the burden that the retailers take on is to recollect the containers and return the dime per container. You know, which isn't really a cost to them because it was a deposit. They already collected that dime ostensibly when they sold the container. And even if you're returning it to a different store, the consumer paid for that dime somewhere, and the retailer will get that dime back when the distributor picks it up. So it's a fairly equitable system for all involved, and as I was explaining, the burdens are split between the consumer, who has to pay the deposit and return the containers, the retailer, who has to charge for the deposit and return the deposit and collect the containers and hold them until the distributor can pick them up. The distributor, who really is just, you know, picking up empty cans when they deliver product to be sold. So there's not a whole lot of burden placed on them. And who am I missing? The retailer, who ultimately has to Alright, cool. We might be able to make another staircase soon leading up there. And then the retailer has to deal with, I guess, like, I don't think they're responsible for the recycling. Yeah, that's an area I don't know about, really, because I don't know who handles the recycling. I imagine some of the big beverage manufacturers make their own containers, but some might just buy them. Okay. Making progress. We got past the rocky bits. Can get back to the unfettered tube, which I now know. Yeah, I'm only getting those here, but that's probably because I've entered this new biome. Magmas probably spawn in this ashy area. Let's just see what it looks like. What are we called here? Basalt deltas, and when we push over here, nether wastes. Okay, and nether wastes is, I think, kind of what used to be the default biome for the whole nether. Was just like nether wastes. I think the only thing they changed much was the piglins or hoglins. I think they're piglins. The piglins can spawn. The zombie pigmen are old, but they now have ears. You got a shiny sword. You can keep it. I'm not that. Not a raccoon. I'm not that obsessed with shiny. Oh, recycling. Okay, so the Michigan system is pretty good. One of the strangest aspects of it is that when they were forming the laws, I think the dairy lobby was pretty big, and dairy milk and dairy is it's a product that doesn't have huge margins of profit. But they're pretty powerful in terms of they consolidated is the main thing. The dairy farmers recognized early on that they needed advertising to encourage milk sales and dairy consumption. But they also realized that they didn't have the power of the big, like, soda pop manufacturers. Alright, where do I want to make... I wish I could see further over. Maybe I should make it here. I mean, this looks like maybe a low point. Alright, maybe that's the plan. So anyways, dairy made an association or an agreement between companies so that they could... Oh, I wasn't going to do that side. I'll figure out a path that way. I'd like to get a path leading somewhere useful in the other direction, but I don't think we get to anything useful, I guess, until up there on that side. Oh, now I've got torches I need to. So, yeah. So Dairy made the, the National Dairy Council or whatever could handle lobbying, advertising, basically protecting the interests of all the small dairy farmers and dairy manufacturers, but even that gets consolidated over time and more formalized, and then you've got small dairy farmers that need the support of a larger group, and then they sign contracts and become beholden to their corporate sponsors or overlords, whatever you want to say. Boy, I'm getting, arguably off topic, but my point in bringing up dairy was that they lobbied pretty heavily that they didn't want to... Oh, ran out of stone. Maybe I should hang stuff from the ceiling so I don't have to deal with these magmas. I don't know. I can just leave that guy for now and deal with him when I need my crafting table. So the dairy and possibly also the fruit juice companies really didn't want the extra cost attached to their containers. This might be a better place to go up because... Well, no. If we build a stair from here, it'll be piercing that stuff, so there'll actually be less tunneling I have to do there than here. I can save a row of glass. We'll figure that out later. So, from what I understand, the dairy lobby... Well, shoot. Fall down. Did I get it? I must have got it. They're working with small margins. Sometimes, like, milk is a loss leader, which I don't know if you ever knew this, but the reason the milk is pretty much always in the back of the store is because they don't make much profit on milk. In fact, from what I hear when they do sales and stuff, they may actually be losing money. The costs are higher than they collect for distribution and stuff. But the reason they do it is because it's a regular draw for customers. There's a lot of things that you can wait to go to the store for. You can put on a list and wait a few weeks, but milk is such a common drink, but even more so cooking ingredient, that there's a lot of things that if you want to do it, I could also send stairs out of the top. No, but then the stairs are inside, so if I'm running mine carts later or something, that would be in the way. Another strategy might be, instead of going up to the side... No, I like going up to the side. We'll just continue on. Sorry. Dairy... Yeah. Lost leader... So... Oops. Part of the reason they're willing to possibly lose money on selling milk is because it will draw people into their store, so they put it at the back of the store so that to get to the milk you have to walk through the whole store, so you're less likely to come in just for milk. There's a much greater chance that as you're walking by other things that you'll stop and shop and that they'll make profit on other stuff. So that's the idea of a loss leader, is they may be losing a profit on that product, but by strategically placing it in the back of the store, you can drive other sales with that product. Anyway, so apparently the milk lobby was pretty strong, and possibly also the fruit juice lobbies, because they also had, you know, they were farmers as well, citrus farmers, that even back in the 70s or 80s, whenever all this was going on, would get involved in state politics when it affected them. So they lobbied hard against being included in any container deposit laws because they didn't want the extra expense. If you're trying to keep your product cheap and dealing with small profit margins like that, even a small deposit can make a difference on the way the price feels to a consumer. You might think 10 cents doesn't make much difference, but the other thing is, you know, where one state goes... Oh, need more glass. Where one state goes, other states may follow, and since Michigan was being progressive about their laws, they felt like they needed to get involved and help determine how that was going to happen. In case other states followed suit, it could become a national burden. So the result is what I think is one of the strangest aspects. Oh, the magma's gone. Of the law, which is the law is based on not what the container is made of, as you might expect, but what's inside the container. So the way that the legislation ended up is this bottle deposit law applies to carbonated beverages. And that seems like a strange distinction when you're talking about a recyclable material that the container is made out of. Like, you might think that the hard plastics, aluminum, and glass would have deposits across the board. And in fact, milk is often in soft plastic, and there could be an exception for that type of plastic. But, anyways, yeah, the strength of the dairy lobby apparently was enough to convince them Where? Yeah, this doesn't go anywhere special, and that looks like a peninsula that I could get to anyways. You trying to get to me? No, you're far away. So yeah, you would think anything, and you know, there are other things sold in containers like that ended up exempted because the dairy lobby made the case that, like, burdening food manufacturers and other things that are agriculture based would be too much of a burden, would affect the point of sale or whatever. So other things like olive oil, or, you know, they might not have participated in the lobbying, but since the case was being made that you didn't want to affect the ability of good working American farmers to be able to profit, that apparently that's what affected the law. Wow, this is a long story when I keep going off on all the tangents, but I don't know where you are. If you live in a different state, you might not have a bottle deposit. If it's 5 cents, you might ignore it and just throw away your cans anyway and not understand how all this works. Even if you live in Michigan, you might not have ever really cared. If you're wealthier than I am, you might just throw away the cans and not worry about it. But the whole point was to encourage the recycling. And there's interesting side effects, one of which is we have a lot less litter. Wait. No, I got stoned. We have a lot less litter in our state because anything that had a carbonated beverage in it is worth 10 cents. So there are people, I don't want to just say homeless people, that's the easiest go-to, but underemployed people who have free time, even if they have homes or apartments they rent or low-income housing or whatever, you can go out and collect some of the litter, and it's selective collection of litter. You know, they're not going to pick up all the trash because it's not all worth money, but there's enough bottles and cans from beer and pop, and we call it pop, the carbonated beverages, here in Michigan. I know down south they call it all Coke, regardless of the manufacturer, and I know in other areas, Southwest, they call it soda, and a more technical term is, or a more, oh, on another rack, more national term is soft drink. And I think that came from hard drinks were liquor. So soft drinks didn't have alcohol. I think that was the idea, is hard meant alcohol and soft meant non-alcohol. But so soft drinks we think of as being just sweet, carbonated beverages, and then beer is also carbonated, and most wine is not, but then you got the bubbly, your Chardonnays and wine spritzers and whatever that can be carbonated. So that's weird because I think normal wine is excluded, but bubbly wine isn't. Unless, I think if it's international, it's excluded too. You don't have the bottle deposit on, what's the word I'm looking for? Champagne. Champagne is a bubbly wine that comes from a specific region in France. No, I ran out of slabs. Now that doesn't affect me too much. Okay, we're getting, once we get to there, I might stop extending this for a while because we'll be able to walk on foot in multiple directions and explore the nether that way. So that's cool. We might have a... Oops. We might have a end near in sight. So wow, I didn't even get to my story. Oh, lost it. Sorry, Sprite. But that's a good overview of our deposit system. Bottle deposit, bottle and can. And so yeah, that applies to all carbonated beverages that are in recyclable plastic, glass, or aluminum, which is pretty much all of the carbonated beverages. They don't, you know, aluminum cans replaced tin cans a long time ago, and the tin's just more expensive to collect and use. And yeah, so it's kind of strange that it's not material based. I think the California system is more material based, and the different materials will have different refund value. But then I think it's built into the cost of the product. It's not a deposit that you pay. You know, I could tunnel here instead. Yeah, I like it back a little ways. Well, it's only... Well, it is a little ways. Yeah, I'll keep it back a little ways. I'll just push the tube to that next platform. Need to get more glass, need to make slabs. So yeah, and an interesting aspect that I was explaining of the whole system is that we basically are paying underemployed people to collect trash off the streets. Oh, what it? -2. I think that's right. Give me a stack and a half. No, it was -4. 2.5 stacks. Okay. Well, let's 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's do a little bit more. And the stone. Oh, that worked out nice. Oh no, 14 more. That's fine. So yeah, it's kind of interesting. A positive of that is it's a way for underemployed people to make some money, and it's almost like they're entrepreneurs because they can set their own hours, they can do it when they want. A negative aspect of that is that they tend to go through people's trash cans and stuff. looking for cans, I don't think it's much of a burden, but I think the general populace believes it is, because when they're potentially coming onto your property and looking through your trash, and so even that, can be considered trespassing and a violation of the law. And I think the general populace has the belief that these are shady people who are willing to break the law. And so if they're coming onto your property looking for cans, they may be opportunists who, might be looking for windows that are open or doors that are unlocked so that they can enter your house and steal things or whatever. I don't buy into that as much. I think it's all based on appearances a lot. My own experience has been that they tend to be pretty selective of where. It's just a little floating piece of basalt. Pretty selective of where they go, because they don't want to draw attention to themselves. They don't want to get into yelling matches or anything. They're just trying to scrounge some change, basically. And in my mind, they're doing a public service because they pick up bottles and cans that they see on the street that otherwise are litter, and they're handling the transportation back to a retailer to get the deposit for them. So I think it's an interesting way to kind of provide income to underserved populations. And I do understand that, there are going to be some of them that are opportunists that will take advantage of unlocked doors and stuff, but I think for the most part, they don't want to draw the attention of residents or police. And again, I think for the most part, they're looking for easy cans and bottles to collect. So if you're somebody who separates your recycling from your trash, oops, they're gonna look in your recycling and ignore your trash. And if your trash is bagged like it's supposed to be, they're not going to go through bags of trash and open them up looking for cans. And if you don't have any deposits in your recycling, as would be ideal, if you're keeping those separate to get the deposit back yourself, then they're not even going to go through your recycling. But here where I live, it's a college town, and so there's a lot of students. University of Michigan is a prestigious university that gets people from all over the country and world. And we're getting close. So we get, some wealthy, students, trust fund babies or whatever, that come from the East Coast or the West Coast to go to school here, and their parents are paying their way, their rent and their tuition and stuff, so they don't have to worry about money as much in this part of their life. And their monthly stipend, they feel like they have the right to put towards, wow, I'm out of stone again, they feel like they have the right to put towards just drinking beer every weekend or whatever, or Thursday nights because they've managed to avoid Friday classes, or at least Friday morning classes or whatever. So those type of people might not want to deal with the whole deposit return thing anyway. So I think these collectors of containers kind of learn what houses have those types of people, and they'll go by there every week, usually in the evening before trash pickup, and that way it's kind of one-stop shopping. They might be able to pick through the cans for beer and pop containers, and then man, and get a nice payoff without a bunch of travel. So, you know, for like my own property, I separate my deposit containers as course of action, so they've probably learned to just skip over my house and not even go through my trash. Or, you know, I've been living alone in my building for over a year now. If they step up to my trash, they're gonna open it and find almost nothing in there. You know, maybe a bag of trash and a bag of cat litter. And then in the recycling, they might see just some cardboard and paper. And yeah, I guess the only other thing I didn't cover in that whole diatribe is water. Bottled water to me has always seemed strange, because in most communities you have city water. Oh, even without city water, you have, I mean, maybe you're on a well, which well water, I've never been on well water. I don't like the idea as much, because unless you pay to have testing done or have advanced filtration systems or whatever, you're really not sure what all's in there, in terms of minerals or other potential groundwater contaminants. And if your water table isn't healthy and sealed, you might have bacteria or fungal growths potentially in the system, which I think most filtration systems deal with that. Wow, we're almost there. I think we're in striking distance. But anyways, yeah, bottled water always seemed kind of odd to me, because where are they bottling it? What's their source? I mean, there's still all those unknowns, and yeah, maybe you trust a company on a larger scale to do the testing and filtration that's needed to make sure it's safe. But a lot of the bottled water companies, you know, like Fiji Water or whatever, those are bottled in specific locations, often at a like spring source, which there you'd still need testing and quality control and all of that. So you're putting your faith in a greed machine, as I often call them, that they're taking care of your health for you. And some of the testing has found that the bottled water isn't cleaner than city water. It's often less regulated because they can bottle it right at the tap, and the reporting standards aren't necessarily as strong. So why would you want to support a system of all this transportation and bottling and yeah, just the transportation alone has a carbon footprint where you're basically supporting the manufacturer's decision to truck all this. Did I? Yeah, that's 3. I messed that up. Yeah, if you've ever heard, like, you vote with your dollar, that idea. Basically, when you, when you support a company by purchasing their product, you're kind of agreeing to their method of doing business. I mean, it's certainly not like the sort of agreement that direct voting implies, but what do I want to do here? Just something temporary, I guess. That's good. I don't need this. Cool. We have reached a nice, stable platform in a new biome. We can collect plenty of basalt, blackstone, lava if we want it, magma. And this is a good point to explore. Let's see, north, am I right? Yeah. North, west, or south. And of course we came from the east, so this is a good launching point. Excellent. I am going to consider this part of the nether tube a success. And I've almost finished recounting the entire story of the Michigan 10 cents per container carbonated beverage deposit law. I forget the technical term, it's not quite that long. What? Yeah, okay. And now I'm almost ready to get into my story of last night, my personal story that I was intending to share. But yeah, I like the Michigan system quite a bit. I like the idea that the law was made in such a way that no one part of the industry carries too much of the burden. And that some consumers hate the extra 10 cents, but if you think about you know, a can of pop maybe is 50 cents or so. A can of beer is maybe $1. And when you're buying them in bulk, well, I guess that doesn't affect the margins. Wow, you guys got active. Can you hop up in here? Kind of. This is kind of exciting. I feel like it's kind of a shooting gallery sort of thing. If I stay back a step, I'm not at too much risk. If I'm at the right distance, the big ones can't get to me, and not too many little ones can jump up my gravel stair all at once. Ah. Okay. Alright. Gotta be careful. He's more careful than I was being. I hit that torch at some point, pretty sure. So yeah, I guess I covered all that. Some people hate how it brings lower income people into your neighborhood looking for cans and bottles, but in a way that's kind of self-regulating. Like if everybody kept their bottle deposits out of their trash and recycling, as is ideal, then you wouldn't have people coming into your yards. It's only the people who just throw away their bottle deposits in their trash and recycling that encourage that activity. And for the most part, they walk down the street the night before trash pickup. So they're not really coming onto your property. They're not really... I think technically going into your bins is... I don't know if it's considered trespassing, but it's... might just be some sort of invasion of privacy thing. I don't think they're supposed to do that, but it generally doesn't bother me if they're just rifling through my bins on the street. And I've occasionally interacted with some of them because my bed is right near my front window. And so there's just a couple panes of glass between me and the people rifling through my cans. So there have been times when I had to work the next day and I'm trying to sleep at 10 or 11 at night, or even later, and somebody is rifling through my trash outside, or not my trash, but a neighbor's trash, and the sound's coming straight up through my window and keeping me awake. So there's been a few times where I've thrown some clothes on and ran outside and, you know, yelled at somebody for making so much noise, and even that isn't, I mean, making noise isn't illegal until after, I forget if it's 10 or 11 p.m. Maybe it's 10 during the week and 11 on the weekend. Anyways, do I want to take any of this with me? Actually, if I'm done with the tube for now, we'll just leave a little bit of stone and a stick. And that I don't think I have need for the netherrack yet, so. Alright, let's get a look at this. So yeah, overall I think Michigan's system is pretty good. I think 10 cents, it's double the incentive as 5 cents, and I think it does make a big difference. The disparity causes some issues, like there even was a Seinfeld episode. A lot of the, manufacturers are national and distribute nationally. So there will be cans that have the deposits listed for every state that they sell that product in. Okay, this is dangerous. And they could knock me down into things. Oh, okay, yep. Yep. Okay. Yeah, there was a Seinfeld episode where Newman, who works for the post office, or postal service, well, I was just going to get a look at this tube, but I don't care for now. There was an episode where he had this scheme to, like, on the weekend, on his time off, fill his postal truck with cans and drive them to Michigan to get the 10 cents per container. And technically that's illegal because you didn't pay for the deposit on those if you bought them in a different state. And I think smaller manufacturers and other distributors, okay, yeah, we're safe. If they're selling in specific states, they might not even put the deposit on there. But again, enough for national. I could get more food, but I'll do that on the surface. Enough for national that they may just print them all, no matter where they're distributing them. I didn't want to come this way. Do I need to do anything here? I guess I could leave some stuff just to carry some stuff upstairs. Yeah, maybe I'll use my shears. Good enough for now. But yeah, that episode of Seinfeld kind of annoys me. It was a good idea for a plot line, and part of what redeems it for me is I don't think Newman is the smartest guy, and I don't think he thought it through fully. So it's realistic in that way, but I don't think it would work. I don't have magma stored. I'm pretty sure I have it in the archive. But let's just double check the archive. Wouldn't be in the first one. It's not in the second. Oh, off camera, I had another encounter. Yeah, it's there. And basalt and blackstone. Where was my gold? Was here, right? Yeah, gold nugget. Yeah, it wasn't a very realistic scheme because 10 cents a bottle. So a garbage bag full of cans might get you $6. I guess that does start to add up. But then how many garbage bags of bottles and cans would you fit in? And of course, if you have glass mixed in, you either need to separate that, or it takes more time to deal with, and they're heavier, the glass, and you always end up with some mixed in. I mean, if you're collecting from other sources like that, you end up with some mixed in that aren't worth the deposit, or that you have to take to a different store because that store doesn't sell that brand or whatever. So yeah, the margins get lost on scale like that. And so number of garbage bags in a mail truck, you might be able to fit maybe 50 to 100. So I guess that does add up. 50 garbage bags might be $300. Yeah, I guess for that reason it's a pretty reasonable scheme. But depending on where you're getting the cans, that you might not have them labeled properly. And for all I know, the tracking of the codes, well, no, I think the code is the same for the product, regardless of where it's sold. I don't think it tracks individual cans or containers. Anyways, the big flaw in that scheme is you've got to pay for all that gas. And in a postal truck, I don't think they get good gas mileage. Might be 30 miles to the gallon at best. So you've got to pay for all that gas to get from New York to Michigan, which is, well, from New York City, it's probably a 18-hour drive. Nah, maybe not that bad. Well, yeah, I think that's about right. I mean, unless you're speeding. Well, let me, as long as I'm thinking about it, let me look it up. Whoa, what's my computer doing? Okay. Let's say you're going, well, let's go to maps. And we'll say Manhattan. Detroit. And Detroit's not the best place, but this is going to give me 2 routes. Okay, 10-hour drive, 600 miles. Oh, they don't show through Canada. Okay, but the 10-hour drive relies on a bunch of toll roads through Pennsylvania, I believe. Or maybe it's just Ohio, but most of your driving is through Pennsylvania and Ohio. So the toll roads are going to add to your cost for sure, unless you take a longer route, which is going to take a lot more time. Yeah, this says 9.5 hours, the shortest route, but you're going to be hitting toll roads on I-80 and stuff. If you go through Philadelphia and take more surface roads, it's an 18-hour drive. But regardless, over 600 miles, if you're talking 30 miles per gallon, I guess that's only 20 gallons, but each way, so 40 some gallons of gas at current prices. So yeah, you're going to be spending around $100 just in gas to maybe get $300 in cans or in deposit returns. You're going to be taking 2 days to do the journey. You're going to have to sleep in your postal truck unless you get a hotel, which is going to add over $100. And then once you factor in food, the tolls that I mentioned, if you're trying to speed, maybe you get a speeding ticket on the way. You could pretty soon give up your whole weekend and make no profit off the whole endeavor. So that was my only point, is that it's not a very good scheme for making money. But admittedly, that makes it even funnier for Seinfeld, because Newman isn't necessarily the smartest guy. And that's the type of show where, it's a comedy. Of course, if it isn't that realistic, it's fine. It can still be a source of humor. But anyways, I'll get to my personal story in the next episode. Insert catchphrase here.